Hey, Capelet Stories. Good evening, everybody. Hey, Byron, how's it, bro?
I'm alright, man. And you, how are you doing? Women's Day, as ek het gedink dat ek jou side chick is, nou wil sy vir my kom celebrate Women's Day met.
Why not? Why not, Byron? Why not? We must celebrate the woman in our life.
Yeah, man. What have you been up to today for Women's Day? Ek hoop die vrou was so spoil gewees. Of wat jy
Yes,
ook een
see,
van daai manne wat sê Women's Day is every day.
it's actually every day, but you know what? I was invited to a small event, just celebrating
Hmm.
women, and I had to go speak there. And I was just part of a small event today, and then accidentally
Hmm.
ended up at another spot. But I think Women's Day is every day. We should respect our women every day. Not
Oh,
only on a
you
specific
talk,
day.
you- it's true, no? But you talk about that. But vra die manne wat nou klomp jare getroud is as hulle wat is die Women's Day? As Women's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day is seker die laaste ding op die kalender.
Ja,
But
as in
yeah,
the-
but jokes aside, ons het 'n klomp sterk vroumense om ons
yes.
and sorry that I have my picture off. Want as ek 'n men of strength wat my krag afgesit het hier by die kante. So yeah, man. But Stanley, and whoever's on also, just give us some stories, man. Laat ons ook 'n bietjie hoor what do you see as a strong woman? Ek weet nou nie hoeveel mense is op hier. Ek weet mense is 'n bietjie late. As mos curfew, hulle moet in die huis en alwees.
Yeah.
So hulle moet 'n
And
bietjie
I
gaan
see,
luister en aanlaat.
um, Byron, that's a good question. What is a strong woman? When I grew up, many of our ladies, on the Cape Flats, our grannies, our mothers, our aunties, it was dinge was nie so modified as vandag, where
Mm,
we had, smack appliances and all those things. When we go back into time, it was a more dit was 'n tyd wat ons mense swaar gekry het ook, and where we didn't have, and
mm,
and and ons moet gemaak doen wat ons het, you know and I think our woman has really grown over the years. If you look at
mm.
you have more career ladies nowadays. Women believe to educate themselves and to go out there, be independent, and I love that because um ek weet nie wie vir die vrouens gesê het back then hulle moet by die huis bly nie, but I also feel that women should also be out there and live their dreams, instead of just staying home.
Mm.
I don't know how you feel about that, but I think we have been limiting our women over the years. Ze moet by die huis bly, ze moet agter die kinders kyk, ze moet kos maak. That was sort
Yeah.
of a thing that a law that somebody put there, weet nie wie nie, but I feel women should also have a voice in BLD.
No, but I don't look at for me now. Also, twee mans mense wat nou praat oor Women's Day, and a lot of people don't understand. Sometimes it is the opposite sex that must celebrate the opposite sex,
That's right.
because they must
Mhm.
acknowledge what the worth is. Kyk, ons mans mense het mos kontrol nou al die jare. Ons skryf die boeke. So mense wil altyd sê ons skryf alles wat in die boeke in is. If you religion wise, the man that was sent to the scriptures to the man to write and lead and all these things. But sometimes we
Yeah.
neglect the woman's not worth, but the woman's how can you
Mhm.
say existence on this planet. And
Yeah.
when we don't respect that, and the woman sometimes that we respect, especially as a colored guy, we respect our
Mhm.
moms a lot.
Yeah.
Maar het al opgelet al wat in ons klereling lyk is wanneer ons 'n vrou mens het. Ons treat ons 'n ma so goud, maar wanneer ons 'n vrou het, dan treat ons nie vir haar so kwaai nie. And but that is something we need to understand. Do we really respect a woman's worth, or do we really love on condition? Because
Mhm.
we've been loved unconditionally by a woman, but yet when we get another woman, we love with condition.
Mhm. Mhm.
You get what I'm
I hear
saying?
what you say. I get what you say. That is the problem. If you respect your mother, you will respect every and other lady out there, woman out there. If you're
Mm,
married to her or not, the lady down the street, and I think that is true. I don't know what would actually cause that in any man, because jy sal nie vir jou vrou nog 'n vriend van my het vandag geskrywe op Facebook, en hy was baie stryd sy liefie het sy antie geklap, en toe sê hy vir die liefie op Facebook, as ek weer hoor jy klap jou ma, dan ry ek van my huis af tot by huis, dan klap ek vir jou vuur warm. um you know what actually causes that a man would actually, like a man that never lifted his hands for his wife, for his mother, would lift his hands for his wife. I don't
mm,
know why you do that.
it's you must understand also. And funny enough that we're talking about it. It's ons moet eintlik 'n topic gemaak het, mommy's boy ken hulle 'n woman's worth. Ons noem it mommy's boy, do they know a woman's worth? Because
Yeah.
I've noticed, and I hope people when they replay or watch it also get to understand what I'm trying to say. Is like when you speak to a lady also, and when you speak to your mom and your mommy's boy and mommy cover video. I don't know if you watch South Park. Ken sy Cartman, the character Cartman.
Yeah. Yeah.
As
Yeah.
hy sy ma sien, dan sê hy, but ma'am, maar as hy uitgaan na haar treat, hy vir almal so stront. And especially vroumense,
Yeah.
the character comes from also something deeper, where the man has no respect for a woman because his mom has been babying the whole time. So he
Mhm.
expects every woman to treat him that way also. To every
Yeah.
woman
Yeah.
he becomes misogynistic on his own. Then you get
Mhm.
moms that's very powerful and strong, where
Yeah.
they don't develop mommy boys attachments, where
Yeah.
they let their boy out there and become a man. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, most of the time is that when there's a father figure involved or so. So ons kan nie net sê as net die ons mansmens wat so uitdry nie. It's because of our father figures also, maybe in an unhealthy household. I've seen
Mhm.
guys that's dads beat them up, their mothers, I mean, and they treat their woman much better. And I'm not saying that's the example. It's because they've seen that trauma. They've seen their
Yeah.
mother get hurt. You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the problem we're sitting now with is the toxic masculinity of men. That's why you have
Mhm.
the GBV violence, and men now
Mhm.
also saying, yeah, but we also the women wanted equal rights and stuff like that. No, equal rights
Mhm.
doesn't mean equity. The same thing. There's a big
Yeah.
difference. They can't
That's
even
right.
the women want equity, right? They want to be what's fair. They want
Mhm.
what's fair. They don't want equal rights. Yes, equal is the
Yeah.
word we use. They want what's fair towards them, just like other race want what's fair towards them now. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes. 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 I give you I just want to read quickly. Hello, jy weet ons 'n brat hulle praat saam met ons. Hello, wanneer is 'n mens man? Hulle verkoop ons julle twee cousins nogal. Women's month, women's month. En dan sê jy nie Byron. I get what you're saying, Byron, and I feel like you said, sometimes if your father abused your mother, then you as a boy also do it, right? And then you blame your father. And the same is also in our communities whenever somebody becomes a gangster, then he says, it's because I don't have a father. But, you had a strong mother that raised you. And there's many other men out there that grew up without a father figure in the house, but you're still saying, because you don't have a father, this is why you are where you at. And I think we need to change that narrative because we
Mm,
blame everybody except ourselves. It is men.
mm.
Byron, one of the most amazing things, and I want to invite you next time. When we had a little small meeting, it is men, and we realized how broken we are. We realized we blame everything and everybody else except ourselves, and we need to take
Exactly.
ownership because at the end of the day, what happens, Byron? If you fix the problems that men are going through, if you fix men, you will fix most of the problems that we are facing in society. I don't know
Exactly.
how you feel about that because we can only appreciate a woman if we appreciate ourselves, if we carry ourselves, with value.
Ah.
I think that we will only really see the bigger picture once we understand ourselves and when we respect ourselves.
Mm. No, you make a valid point there. It's twofold, Stanley. Look,
Mhm.
men, to be fair to them, are needed in this life also, just like women. We
Yeah,
we 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 do take physical strain and stuff like that. And I don't want to pass that on to no woman. There's women out there that's builders, construction workers, and stuff like that. Yes, there is. And men are saying the suicidal rate is higher on men, and all these things are higher. But we need to
yeah,
understand years and years and years, biblical times, years and years of control. Ons praat nou, let's compare quickly racism, right? Let's compare
mhm,
apartheid. Ons complain nou nog oor apartheid. Now, how must
yeah,
a woman feel?
mhm,
Generations of power was given to a man. As maar
yeah,
nou die ander dag, when
mhm,
when so-called women could start speaking up for themselves and have a voice for themselves. So they've been crippled for many years mentally and
Yeah.
emotionally broken down. And that's why you
Yeah.
get women that's fighting to love each other and stand up for each other and look after each other because of generations worth of trauma. That's why I'm going
Yes.
with. This is why we need to celebrate women. We need to have
Mhm.
Women's Day to make them understand that their worth is not worthless, that they are a gift also to us. Because men, even biblical men, gooi het in die gesig, jy is van my rib af. You are
Yeah.
made from my rib. That is already
Yeah.
saying I'm in more superior and you are inferior towards
And
me. And so be it. A lot
that's
of
so right.
men will probably look at me and say, "Yeah, but I see a alpha male because now you are beta male talking." No, it takes an alpha male to understand the worth of something that you want to love. And that is
Yes.
something that you just made a point. You hit the nail on the head. We need to sort out the people
Mhm.
with power to have more compassion. And unfortunately, even though we are the
Mhm.
minority, just like the people in apartheid was the minority, but they had power. We are the people of minority, the men, yet we are still the ones with
Mhm.
power. We are the ones that can make change. But yet,
That's
môre
right.
sê ons nog altyd, o, jou bouer is te vet vir my, of die bouer is te maar.
Yeah.
Die arme vrou um, already struggles with image. Then you go challenge them on their mental capacity, saying you
Yeah.
don't speak up because their hormones are different. Everything is different.
Mhm.
This is
Mhm.
why we need to celebrate a woman. This is why we need to understand a woman's worth also.
And also, Byron, I want to say this. I think woman goes through a lot, and it's passed on, like you say, from generation to generation. If I look, if I just look at the three generations in my family, grandmother, great grandmother, and you listen to the stories, what they've been through, and also, like you said, how religion plays a role. Religion tells you, religion, people have used religion to sort of make female feel inferior, indoctrinating. Julle vrouens is nie beter as ons nie, and that is for many years, men would say, but you need to be submissive to me, you need to do this and that, you need to know your place. You can't say that to a woman. A woman is supposed to be the man's helper, but you want to treat her as your slave. So you want the woman to do everything. You want the woman to clean the house, to look after the children. She mustn't have a personality or she as sy klaar saam met haar, dan moet sy voel wat sy moet dankbaar wees dat sy vir haar in jou lewe het. And that is what has been happening over the years, where you've seen many uncles how they treat their wives, how the wives are being spoken to. Actually in church, one day I was in church, that was in 2019, en die ou in die kerk sê vir sy vrou, sy is 'n slegte vrou. Sy maak nie my kos in die aande in nie. As ek by die huis kom, as ek honger, dis
Ooh.
heeldag vir die maar die vrou is moeg, want die vrou kyk elke dag na die kinders. But what actually really did it for me was when the man stood up, the head of the church said, "Sister, you need to make sure your husband has have food." Instead of telling him, instead of hom te sê, "Jy, hou jou mond, kos praat daar binne." Hy gee vir hom actually 'n regte night, hy is reg. And that woman has been going through
Mhm.
so much emotional abuse, financially, emotionally, and she was, hit physically. But because of what the man said in the church, the pastor said, it was right, and there is things that we need to also fight. We need to fight for justice for a woman, because these abuse didn't just start yesterday. It has been going on for many years. But I want to say, and I want to go back, it started more on the religious level, where women had to be submissive to their husbands.
Hmm. Sorry man, ek krijg ook nog iets
Okay.
te kry aan. Dan you see my face twice. Kan jy my hoor? Jou mic is op mute.
Ek kan nie hoor. Daar's 'n perfect.
Ek het nog gedink ek is mos onnooslik. Ek het 'n laptop onthou met die krag was die laptop se krag, dis se battery is aan meer as die phone se battery. Hoe gebruik ek die phone? Yeah, Marcel, just to go back to what you were saying, and a little bit on this was, look at, I grew up with strong female figures in my life. En ek glo jy toe kies jy alde in jou lewe miskien. Daar is mansmense om ons wat hy miskien het nie, wat miskien sterk vroumense om hulle het. En ek sê nie dat hulle het miskien weak vroumense om hulle wat rondgestoot is nie. Ek sê maar net we need to understand the situation at hand. Some women are put in positions that makes them feel weaker than what they are and not know their worth. And now the men that's around them also see this, but okay, die is miskien hoe ek miskien 'n vrouens moet treat. And this is how I must treat a vrouens. I must maybe mistreat her and stuff like that. There's no excuses. But dis wat gebeur in die love. So hulle sê die pastor is reg. Jou bike is af.
Hulle begin wie is dit? Hy begin wie is dit?
Ek kan nie jamlag getal. Ek wil met hulle op die show kry. Die so op een dag net saam met ons gesels. Ek hulle gediet. But Stanley, let me ask you a question. And without joking, was my jokes now. And it's actually something serious we chat about. Want alles vir ons klink dit amper so 'n joke, maar laat ek vir jou gou vra. When you grew up, who was the strongest female figure in your life?
You know, the strongest female woman, there was two of them that I really admired. It was my mother at the time, and it was my grandmother. They had, they could raise a family. They could stay at home. They could look after us. They didn't, like they didn't worry about the bonus. They didn't worry about a salary or whatever. Their life was just about looking after us and making sure we are okay. When we were in trouble, they would go, and help us out. And also with the little bit of education that they had, they could help us make the right decisions. So at that time when I grew up, it was my mother and my grandmother.
Now, for me, I'm gonna tell you now one thing, and this is not just saying because it's my mom and so on. For me, growing up, something I never noticed, and only now because I'm an adult and so forth, and I see life and I understand life. My ma was 'n pille gewees en 'n vroumens wat sterk gewees het. She hit so many stuff of her pain in her life, be it with family, be it with friends, be it with the sickness that she has, be it with the financial struggles that she's going. And I'm not saying my father has been a very financially sound guy all his life. But I'm going to tell you now one thing. One thing she's taught me is to understand your strength that you have, not much so your worth. And she also taught me a very fine line what is self-love. And this is what it will a lot of people don't get when I say this. I am not over the obsession of this day and age self-love. Oprah and all these people always speak about your cup needs to be full before you give to someone else. You can't love yourself if you don't connect with someone else. You can't love yourself if someone don't teach you who you are. You learn about yourself through other people. Jy is maar net 'n boom ajaar staan en dink jy gaan jouself kan verstaan because you won't know what your bad traits, what your good traits. My mother has shown me so many times what is strength. She sat in company where she detached herself from people that treated her badly, but she could still sit in that company without feeling a thing because she knew it was not her. It was not her doing wrong. It's what's going on in that person's mind. So I know my worth today because of a strong woman, because of a woman that showed me how to love and not lose my kindness and my heart towards other people. So for my as diary takes the from which, and this is why I have a woman in my life that is understanding towards me. En sy weet ek moet hulle teen gooi. Hy is ook another woman of strength nou in my kante. Ek het al nou die vroumense gaan soetkoekies, maar ek sê vir jou hy vroumense staan by my kant.
Zeg je oké, net niet op Facebook? Yes, but it's true. Byron, you if you actually mention something there now, and I think that I can actually agree with you. The woman, vrouwmense sien net pillars of strength for the huisie, but they're also pillars of strength for the communities. If I look at our women in our communities, the auntie is a pillar of strength in die kerk. Sy's 'n pillar of strength vir die kinders wat wat in die middags moet sop kry of kos kry. Sy's 'n pillar of strength, even to the walking bus. Our women are very much sacrificing so much of themselves in our communities. And there is men that is doing this, and I'm not talking down on the men, but I feel the majority of women that we can do, people in the community that is doing good is females, and we can learn so a lot from our females. I feel that we need to learn from them. We need to. A women are very much matured, at a young age, and if you look at women, um, you know, I was raised by a woman that my ma is ook baie young swanger gewees met my broer, and she didn't actually also have a life, where you could say she had it easy. But up till this day, she knows how to treat people. She knows how to show love. She knows how to, talk to other people. Another courageous lady in my life is my mother-in-law as well. My mother-in-law is a very good example of somebody that wanted to be a school teacher. She wanted to become a school teacher, but in her time, she had to leave school and she had to go work, and then she became a manager later on at what's the place's name, at Markham's in town. But through her little bit of knowledge, and through her little bit of perseverance, she could put all her children through university. So a woman is actually, you know, a person you can look up to that is very strong, and no matter what life throw at them, they continue to do good.
And you know what people might find now weird, and we were joking now the whole time, and ik het nou jokes gemaak. Ik likes grappen maak, because I like putting a smile on my own face, and then I like putting a smile on someone else's face. But sometimes it's actually a serious topic we're talking about, because women really, they do take this topic seriously. They do take celebrating a day within themselves seriously. From a man's point of view, I can't say what is a woman's worth. I'm going to tell you now. From a man's point of view, I can't know what goes on in a woman's mind. But from a man's point of view, I can admire what they go through. I can admire what they bring to the table. All these men and people out there nowadays, and the little manna, they look for stuff to enable their strength and their reasoning why they do certain things. And then they go write stuff like, yeah, women don't know what they want, a woman is confused, a man is so on and off switch, he knows what he wants. So speaking from my point of view as a man that don't really know what a woman feels and what a woman really wants, I try to understand women. And this is why I say we're celebrating women today, and we're celebrating on Women's Day. My mother, my partner that I have, my daughter that I'm raising, I see there's so much love within them, and forgiveness and understanding. But yet, in the end of the day, they are still struggling with their own battles in this world that's been so materialistic. Because men are now asking them, when they talk about equality, what are you bringing to the table? Be it in sports, of stuff in this physical world, be it of anything, what are you bringing to the table? But we keep on forgetting, without their carrying, there is no table. Without them bearing us and nurturing us, there is no table. Jy kan 'n tafel bou, but sonder jou foundation gaan aan jou tafel visie. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes, yes, I agree with you 100%. But this is also what I want to say, Byron. Like you mentioned something very important. We need to get to a point where we get to understand our woman. I think we don't make the time to understand women. A man is we wanted to get things done. We want to do this and that. That's baie weinig wat emotions in this. And with that, Byron, I want to say that we as men need to realize, but when I meet this girl, I need to get to know her. I need to get to, ek moet vir haar verstaan, because, a relationship is not something that you should look at as a short-term thing. It's a long term thing. Um, and the problem that we have in the communities is we just get married or we just have a partner because everybody has a partner and I must have a partner. But you don't realize as a man, you need to get to know the person. En daar gaan dinge is wees conflict wees, but also you need to know how to handle conflict, how to sort out the matter, not go and sleep, out to squad for mekaar because ons het nou geskel vandag. You need to figure out, and I'm not saying always the man is always wrong. There's cases where women are also wrong. Women sometimes they don't want to be wrong en beklei sy en dit was miskien nie eens die man se skuld gewees nie. But I think from a man's perspective, dat die met ons mekaar leer ken en tip maak vir mekaar en sort
Hmm.
matters out.
Now, Stanley, he's no vraag wat ek wil vra, man. And like it, what you said, we need to think with the upper head.
Dis pas gekeur wat hy sê.
And we should have titled this topic tonight celebrating human years, but maybe a AA meeting for men. Miskien, what do they call that group meetings now again? What do you call that? The rehab meeting for men. Yeah.
Alcoholic Anonymous.
But say hulle address with a blue eye. Sorry, pastor. I bly sorry, pastor. I say eers nie dan sê sorry, pastor. Yeah, dat hulle. But what you just said now, Stanley, is I understand that, but here's where the problem lies, and we go back to it every time. That we as men, right? We are so in charge. What say? Must call it PP. Not Julle gaan by die hele tyd aftrek van die ene. I'm thinking the whole time what I was gonna say, so I lost my train of thought. Anyway, and thanks, Jens, for complimenting Stanley on his being a pastor. Ek het nie geweet Stanley het sy kalles gekry al nie. Anyway,
Ons het nou eens gehoor van die eerste keer. Die eerste keer wat ek
But jokes aside, ons maak nou so grappig van dit. I'm gonna tell you now on a serious note, Stanley. We need to understand as men, and I'm gonna say this again, as men. Yes, we in this world, we also have emotions and we also deal with trauma and we also have the right to be vulnerable and stuff like that. But in the end of the day, met die 100 genders wat ons nou buite haloop met, ek weet nie eens hoeveel genders is daar meer nie. All the genders that we're running around with, we need to understand in the end of the day that we need to appreciate those with a higher emotion than us. We are most men in the end of the day, despite what gender you call yourself, and people gaan kwaad raak vir my vir die. Ek is nie frank. Despite what gender you call yourself, there's a way that your body is built and certain stuff that evokes the things out of your emotions and out of your body. This is why men are more logical thinkers and women are more emotionally built in the workplace and stuff like that. It's because we push them so far. Ons het vir hulle so gesit dat okay, a woman that don't work, she has no worth. Sy moet net skoonmaak, sy moet net dit doen. Of course, if you in the prison the whole time, you're gonna want to get out. Put yourself in that situation. It's still like that for women. They are still being undermined. And I'm gonna not take a call out and say, yeah, men are suffering, men are struggling. Yes, we are. But to be a man in this life, I don't want to shoot all other genders. To be a man in this life, you need to understand that the way to love is to understand that if you love a woman and protect a woman and be there for a woman without using the word, but you wanted equality, then you are there to understand the woman. Do you get what I'm saying?
I hear what you say 100%, and I do agree with you. And it comes back to what I said, understanding. There is no, we're not going to find, a relationship means it's like a two-way radio. You talk, I listen. I talk, you listen. And we collectively find a solution. Because remember, Byron, I spoke to a lady today, and I found something amazing. How some men do speak to the woman when you cross. As ons kwaad is vir mekaar, dan skree ons vir mekaar. Ja, but sy wil nie want nie. Sy wil nie, it's almost like you want to fight. Where some guys would stand still and ask the woman, or the woman will ask him, they will have a conversation where they will say, it will be an intellectual conversation, but you are wrong there. You need to question it, why did he do that? Okay, and then I'm going to say, but I didn't mean to. But because the first thing we do is when we do wrong, we start screaming. En nou begin ons op 'n specie klim en ons raak kwaad. I think the way we need to, with all females and all males, we need to get to the point where we are calm and collective and talk about these things as humans, not shout at one another, because that makes things a bit more complicated. Because now like it's ek wil beklei, I just want to read something here that Kurt is writing, something to think about how much men are being abused by women. Yes, you are right. I know there are women that are being abused, but I know many men that are being abused as well. And then Ashraf says here, the world is just a safe place for men, and that need to change. So we have two different perspectives. Okay, it's good. It's good.
I want to.
Um,
I just
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
top comment if you can go there. Something to think about. How much men are being abused by women? I know there are women. If you can pop that was, I know there are women that are being abused, but I know many men that are being abused. You are right. Now I'm going to tell you a thing about strength and physicality and the understanding of power. Yes, a woman can emotionally abuse you and maybe physically also. You are right, totally right there. But here's something: you build your own reality in this world. You make your own choice in this world. Now imagine people say that over to you again. Remember, you as a man have freedom because you maybe have the power to leave that woman. First of all, you have the choice to leave that woman. Most of the times, women don't have a choice. They are being so physically abused that they are scared to leave. You know, and I'm talking about physical strength now. I know there's some women that maybe is stronger than certain men's. I just want to go to the point of acceptance. You as a man, when you're being emotionally or physical abused, you have a choice and you're accepting certain things. You're accepting your reality of what's happening to you at that point. I'm against any point of violence in any sex, but this is my thing at the end of the day. If you're a believer or non-believer in a source of energy or what atheist or whatever you are, you believe in good and bad, right? So at the end of the day, if you don't want something to happen to you or you don't want your environment to be good, what must you do, Stanley? Change it. You need to change your environment. If you allow a woman to abuse you, and people can say, but you can say the same to women. Again, perspective. You need to take perspective in a woman is more of in a crunch situation. We have the monopoly as men in strength, in that side of the field, and with more respect also. And we're not seen as objects, most of us at the time. So now you must put in perspective when you're in a situation of abuse as a man, you need to then say to yourself, do I want to be put in this environment? Can I get myself out of this environment? Men has so many tools to get out of an abusive environment, but you know what blocks him? Something that can help him? His ego. His ego is blocking him. Hy's bang as hy nou vir sy vriende gaan sê, my vrou boer my vrou slaat my, hulle gaan dink ek is 'n grap, ek is 'n joke. We need to look past that also. This is where we're going to start healing and start understanding women's pain. But now we hold that grudge against women when we are being abused because of our own ego, because we are scared to go tell Piet, Tom and Harry, my vrou het my gestaan geklap. Or we too afraid to tell Piet, Tom and Harry, my wife cheated on me. Because no man want to be seen in that way, in that light. We suffer on our own. Women speak out of being abused. Women speak out of being beaten, yet it's still happening to them. Why? That's the question you need to ask yourself.
And that's a good question. That's a good question. Baron, there's a lot of things, man, that I feel that we need to talk on, and things that are actually keeping us from being happy. Baron, one of the things is that we will stay in a relationship just to keep the peace, just to to say, okay, nah, ek wil
Mm.
hierdie mense moet sien ek is 'n swak broek of like so nie. But you are being unhappy. You are being in an unhappy environment, but for the sake of what people are going to say, now you are staying there. You know.
Mm.
Also, what men is sort of different. What many men are still, the breadwinners in the house, and that. So if they leave, they can be independent. But with a woman, it's different. Women feel that as ek nou lyn, wie gaan agter die kinders kyk? Wie gaan agter my kyk? Wie gaan vir
Mm.
my sorg? So you have, it's difficult for some people because you don't want to make a move, and tomorrow if things don't work out, jy het nog 'n lyn of die kinders saam met jou. Hoe kyk jy agter jou
Mm.
kinders? Jy kan nie agter jouself kyk. Nou vir die res van jou lewe gaan mense jou sien as 'n failure. So there's a
Mm.
lot of things, but I like what Kurt is saying here, and this can look at all aspects. We need to start more marriage enrichments and relationship team building meetings, programs. A lot of people in relationship need guidance. That is
Mm.
right to sort of help people with their relationships. But also we need
Mm.
to empower men and women so that if they feel they're not happy, they can move out. There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, ek gaan nou skei, dit is 'n weekie, but I still want to be your friend. But I'm moving out and I'm giving you also, because remember, if the one partner is unhappy, that means the other partner is also unhappy. And why do we
Mm.
want to stay in an unhealthy, unhappy relationship? For the sake of the
Exactly.
kids.
Exactly. Exactly. What you just said now, for the sake of keep, ek gaan weer terug na my gesê het, Stanley. And yes, we can do the programs and stuff like that, but I like what I don't know if Turtle said earlier that we need a men's workshop or whatever for men when we were making jokes about it. We do need a workshop for men. I think you said it earlier. We need a workshop where we work on men to get to understand ourselves also first, and get to
Yeah.
understand what we want out of this life, what we need out of this life, and how to treat the
Mhm.
opposite sex in the end
Mhm.
of the day. Here's the other thing that you said now, and I keep on saying the men, we have the monopoly to rule certain things, and we need it. Yes, we need it in this life,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
why we need to be subconsciously aware that the
Mhm.
woman is every time questioning her worth, because when a woman becomes independent, let's talk about this. The kind of topic of the independent woman. Let's talk about the independent woman. Now she's gained everything she needs to self-sufficiently look after herself. Now a man says, "Ma, she's not attractive anymore." Why?
Yeah.
Because hy kan nie iets na die tafel toe bring nie. Nou voel hy he's being emasculated. Now
Mhm.
a man that feels emasculated is a man that feels he can't control this woman anymore. That's what ladies must
Mhm.
also look out for. But there's many
That's right.
men like that. When they date a woman, they gotta date a woman maybe that has the money and everything, but he's gonna
Yeah.
abuse her because he's gonna cheat on her and stuff like that
Mhm.
because he wants to prove to her that I am still a man. Nou gaan wys hy sy disability ander plekke af.
Mhm.
You get what I'm getting at. So this is, yeah, 30% of the men that cheat, I call it they show of their disability. They can show
Mhm.
their disability. But at the end of the day, it's because they are unsure about themselves. And unfortunately, in this world that has
Mhm.
minimal jobs, especially in, let's talk about South Africa, we have men sitting without jobs. We have women sitting with high profile jobs. Now the man feels so emasculated. Now he cheats on his woman. It's not an excuse. It's just because
Mhm.
that man's ego is so bruised and
Yeah.
he's so hurt. So he needs to sort himself out. So we need programs for men to understand that your worth is more further. It's much
Yeah.
more than just having a job. Yes, we are
Mhm.
seen as the hunters and all these things. But if you really want to love a woman, you must show
Mhm.
her what you
Mhm.
are worth, not break her down to show
Mhm.
her you are more worth than her.
But Byron, that brings me to insecurity. It brings me to
Exactly.
insecurity, for the fact that, and I do know, like this also comes from our forefathers. Die man moet week is, en sy man nie het nie, is die man swak. That is something that it's a rule, it's a regulation that has been put into place, that men feel that they need to be the providers. And if they can't provide, as your vrou 100 rand meer as jou verdien, then it's so upset because she earns more money than you. But that
Mm.
shouldn't be the problem. You are married in community of property, or you are married and you want to make a difference in your lives, in your children's lives. So now you're together,
Mm.
you want to better your life, right? So now the thing that you have to look at, if she earns more than me, good and well, but let's put that money into our family. Let's make life comfortable, because we're living in a time where companies will score more points with if they employ a female than what they employ a male, and companies are gonna go for that, you know. So
Mm.
that's why you have more females that is employed in that are in management position. And I think men feel very much inferior, but that is something you need to figure out. How am I gonna, hoe gaan ek nou dinges maak, vrede maak, dat my partner meer is my verdien? I just want to read some of the comments. I see here's some long comments,
Mm.
so I just want to continue because I like the
Ek het
also
nie
to
hulle
participate.
kan so lank tyd nie.
Yeah, I like stuff. Taylor likes stuff. And with the book schrijver, Stanley Byron, I was with a woman, did a lot of things for her. I took her to my place. She didn't work. I looked after her, but we ain't together anymore. After our breakups, she moved on with the next guy, and today she's married with him. Brothers, manne, hier is buite gat deur klomp dinge, okay? But ek's oor daai. That's why I'm speaking up, okay? And then I just want to read you quickly something Kurt said. I know there's always a big deal made about gender-based violence, but what about the men? Because now men are being made out to be the enemy. And he has a point, and I'm going to come back to you now. I'm going to come back to you now. Um, Kim says here, we need to change the way we communicate with in the family, unit, home. Two, most women who are abused have no reference to be able to identify exactly what abuse is, or know when it or know when she is
Mm.
being abused. So when much patriarchal practices have been embraced as the norm in our colored communities, and poverty prevents exposure to a different way
Mm.
of life and living. And I think that is true.
I
Um,
love that comment. That's basically what I said now. She's hit the
that's
nail
right.
on the head.
Yes.
She's hit the okay, ek het ek so ja gesê.
Okay. Kurt says so. Before I got married, my wife and myself decided we need to do counseling, then marriage classes. Then we got married, and during the classes, we really wanted to get married because we truly loved each other and are painting pictures for each other. And and the thing is this, just to come back to Kim, ons weet nie wanneer ons abused raak nie, because we are so accustomed to it. My oupa het my ma geslaan, het my ouma geslaan, my pa het my ma geslaan, en dan slaan
Mm.
my man vir my. And we have
Mm.
become accustomed to that. That
It's
is the
a
things.
norm.
And I'm not talking down on our men. I know there's good men out there. I know there's men that always also being abused. I know of men personally that's being abused. But it is more that men nowadays abuse women. Gender-based violence wasn't named until recently. Nobody knew about gender-based violence.
Yeah,
Only about
because
a year.
no one speaks up. What you're saying is true. No one could speak out, and she hit the nail on the head
Mhm.
there, which was saying that ek wil vertel as 'n comment ook aangevat het, but I love what she's saying there because it's so true, and she's taking a community, but I'm telling you now, it's been happening for years, even in no matter what race they're at. It's the mindset that of superiority. Let's use race as a thing. People still have that mindset of superiority. Men have that mindset they are more superior than women. They should have more. They are entitled to more. That entitlement mindset is a difficult thing to get out of. And this is why men need workshop to understand equality. Not equality in the sense of die vrou moet saam in 'n boxing match kan staan nie. That's not what I'm talking about equality. I'm talking about equality that I am also part of this planet, that I also belong. Just like you belong, I belong. And I think that is the misconception that we as men sometimes have. And yes, I am a great predictor of men. Men are being abused. Men are being mistreated. Men are being, their hearts are being broken. Yes, but this is why I want to read Taylor's comment. I think I have something to maybe touch onto that. What you're saying, Taylor. If you could just pop that one on Stanley. So
That,
Taylor, no, Taylor's one on top of Kurt.
okay, this one, yeah?
Yeah, so Taylor is Stanley, and I was with a woman. I was with a woman. Did a lot of things for her. I took her into the to my place. She didn't work. I looked after her, but we ain't together anymore. After our breakup, she moved on with the next guy, and today she is married with him. Brothers, manne hier is buite gat deur klomp dinge. But ex oordaai, that's why I'm speaking up. Now, Sterlo, now I'm looking at your comment and something I'm going to comment on this. And I am a man that comes from a divorce side also, and I had to do a lot of self-introspection and yourself, what did I verkeerd gedoen? What did I do wrong? And stuff like that. And even if you don't find anything, you need to understand in the end of the day, if it's not meant for you, it's not meant for you. You can love and pour all your love into someone and give everything to that person. But if that person does not have the same love for you, it's never going to work. The other man can do 20% of what you do, but there's something that's attracting her to him much more. It's got nothing to do with you. So you're not going through anything. You are learning through life what is for you and what is not for you. Sometimes you think what you do is for you. Like, let me make an example. Sometimes you think you've caught a fish and this is your fish to eat. This is your woman now because you are feeding this fish. You are with this fish and this fish is now yours. No, this fish is maybe not there to nourish you, my friend. This person is not there for your side. You need to take out what can I learn from this woman? Oh wow, she maybe didn't love me the way I needed to be loved because I had to be the breadwinner. I enabled her maybe. Maybe I didn't help her to go look for a work for herself. Maybe I made her sit at home too much. Maybe I made her sit at home too much. Maybe I did too many things for her. See, that also be wrong. Sometimes we think we do so much for somebody that we're helping them. Enabling is sometimes the worst thing you can do for someone. You see what I mean? So it's not her that did not love you. It's her that needed to find herself. You are maybe ek lang color kat sê yellow tail fish is the best by they blame me halfway. So yeah, and so we go through this life to experience things, and we need to understand people come and go out of our life. If we've not learned anything from it, then we are not evolving and growing. We need to understand everything we learn is to help us to love more, to understand more, to understand more. But yet, as humans, when we go through hurt, we become resentful, we become bitter, and we become hateful, and we say people are narcissistic. We start using words like people are narcissistic, people are rude to us, but yet we don't use the word of understanding acceptance and compromising.
Byron, and I just want to come back quickly. Now I was just thinking about Taylor's story. I had a friend many years ago. His name was Benny, and Benny dated this girl. Her name was Jackie. And we always used to sing that song, Jackie. She was a friend of mine. But you know what Jackie did? Jackie dated Benny, and they went out, in high school. But while she was dating him, she was also dating another guy at another school. I think it was Philae. She would never tell Benny about this, but she was much more in love with that guy. And Benny found out, and that actually broke that man. And when I listen to Benny's story and I see him today, it has still affected him many years later. Benny can't, be in a relationship because he is paranoid, Joel different with my way. And that is the type of trauma that I believe Jackie was the person that did it. Jackie is happily married to her other husband, not even with the guy that she dated. But you know, there's things in life that you're not going to be able to change. Like things like that. People are always going to cheat on one another, but you also need to look after yourself, after your well-being, after your mental health, because the problem is this: these things are going to happen to many of us. But it's how we come back, it's how we address these type of matters, because anybody out there can think they are in a healthy relationship, but like Kim said, you might just be in an abuse because your parents went through this, their parents went through this, and you think it's normal, and we sort of get used to that type of lifestyle where we are being abused with us even not knowing that we are being abused. I just want to read this comment here of Kurt. Sometimes we take that hurt into our marriages. Say a young boy sees his father abuse, yes, his wife, and chances of the young boy growing up an abusive woman will be big. We need to set better examples. And like I think it was you, Byron, that said children are like sponsors. They see what their parents are doing, especially young men. And that's exactly what they sort of take over. But that also doesn't give us an excuse. I know of many men that comes from an abusive relationship where they saw their parents and they're not abusing their partners, you know. So we also need to tell the young man, you know, that abuse is wrong. We need to have more discussions like this out in the open, you know. Byron, we had an awesome time on Saturday. We a few men met from different areas of the Cape Flats, and we started speaking about things that bothers us. And I realized how needed conversations like this is when we get together and talk about things like this because there's a lot of men out there that's hurt. They are hurt and they need to sort of find themselves. They need to find themselves, and that's why we as men, whenever we have a smoke break or something, let's start with these conversations. Let's start talking and teaching the younger generations and challenging the elder generations and get these topics going.
Mm. No, you're right, and people must take this as the right way tonight. Why are we being hard on men? It's because they go through a lot,
Mm,
and they how can I say, keep a lot inside, and this is
mm,
why it's needed to be hard on men so they can come out. They need to understand that the world is a safe place for them also to speak out. As soon
mm.
as they understand that the world is safe, they will start making the world safe for women also. You see,
That's right.
there's men out there, and go to that comment that what's his name said, Kurt says, Biden, I saw another woman hit her husband to blue eyes, and the next day he said, he ran in the poll, she probably ran in the poll, and the police think, what do you think the police will stand with? I promise you the man will get arrested, basically. I think he said she ran into a pole basically afterwards. Now that
Yeah.
happens. That happens because we don't speak out as a collective of men. Because we mock men. So as ek nou going through the ages, this is what happens to you when you're the age of maybe 17 to 22. Now you say, I love my woman, and you put all these
Mm,
things out there. I'm in love. Ooh, look at him. He's so whooped. You know the word whooped afterwards. Ooh, sy vir hom
mm,
om die vinger. Hy
mm,
is sy control vir hom. And a man's ego is like, nah, maybe I mustn't show my friends that I'm so in love. Maybe I must be toxic because then my friends will see I'm a man. Nee,
mm,
buta, jy maak nou jou eie environment swaar. You make your own environment difficult then in the end of the day. And this is where, like Kurt said, we need to have classes on this to let man understand what his worth is, so he can understand how to treat someone else also, so that to know that they also have worth on this planet. We
mm,
sometimes walk over and we don't care about certain things like that. We sometimes don't know someone else's worth because we are so trapped in loving ourselves in today's society that we
mm,
mistreat the next position, opposition. Women fight women just as much, my friend.
mm,
Women can't get along because of that reason. Also, they have just as a bigger ego, and this is why
yeah.
they also need to be celebrated because they are still fighting for the scraps. We can relate as colored people. Ons
Mm,
druk mekaar af dag en dag uit
mm,
because we are fighting still in the poverty stricken. We're still in between. Woman is still in between also,
yeah.
and that is
Yeah.
the problem we have today. You see?
And I like what you say. We are still fighting for a place in our society, right? Now remember, women are actually fighting harder. They're fighting for a place, like the colored women are fighting for a place in their society, and they're also fighting a place for themselves in the broader society. So they're actually fighting much more. You know, they need to prove themselves in their communities. They need to prove themselves, you know, in the workplace. You know that they can do the job because, you know, if you go to some companies, it is so normal where some guys are saying, you know, a woman can't do this, a woman can't do this, without giving the woman a chance. You are not telling that person they
Mm.
can't have, they can't do it because you feel that that person can't do the job, you know, and that is wrong. We must stop. We must stop labeling people. We must stop labeling people before we employ them. And this one here actually says here, denormalize, break the cycle by having those conversations And I agree, we need to start talking about these things in our communities.
Exactly. And here's another thing, Stanley. Hoe gaan ons praat oor hy dinge? You know? Because so Kurt, you see, they call we call each other names also and stuff like that, and we use derogatory terms that emasculate you as a man. There's one example. We need to have these chats, like she's saying, we need to speak to men and make it a safe place. You know, in the end of the day, Stanley, we are all living our life together as humans, right? Be it woman, man, what color you are, or whatever. But we make it so difficult because of segregating ourselves into different classes, different races, different sexes in the end of the day. And that is where the problem lies. We don't try to understand each other individually. We don't try to understand, okay, you grew up as a colored person, you went through this trauma, so I'm trying to understand why you backlashing like that, or why you trying to fight as hard for that position. Okay, you grew up as a woman, maybe you scared to walk alone. I need to understand because this has been happening for so many years. Okay, you are a person of a Caucasian person. You maybe don't understand my background, so I have to understand what is coming out of your mouth. We don't take time as humans, let's put it like that, to understand each other. We are so quick to jump on stereotypes and not so quick to use those stereotypes to our advantage and say, okay, a colored man is very defensive. Um, I understand that, so let me maybe speak to him in a different way. Okay, a woman is very scared to be in a group of men that she doesn't know because I know the background, what happened, I understand, so let me understand the situation. But yet, we are quick to defend instead of understanding.
And you are so right, Byron. And this just adds what Kurt is saying. As people, we need to show more patience with each other. And if we're not gonna show,
Exactly.
we need to as that, like I always say, let's just take away our race. We have already fought battles over the years. But look at, how can I get to know Byron? How can I get to know Mr. Sabalala, whoever, as an individual, as a African citizen, we have the difficulties and things in our communities, but we also need to see and understand one another, and we need to improve ourselves. And I want to say this: us as colored men, we need to find ourselves. We need to do more things. We need to work harder on ourselves, improving ourselves, Byron. We're not really doing a lot, sort of. We don't talk about our emotions, and that's just where I sort of applaud the white man. And I'm not want to use race, but I met a guy on Saturday evening, a white guy, and you should listen to him. Very much mature, knew he came from an abusive family, but he worked on himself because his grandfather told him he should go for counseling. And this is the type of topics we should have with our children, with our young men, with the young boys.
Mm,
And let's see how we can change the paradigm.
mm. And I'm going to speak now from a man's point of view, and this is what we all want. We all want love, and this is what I'm going to say from a man's point of view. You really want someone to love you. You want someone to understand you, but you need to understand in the end of the day. I'm going to speak about the personal thing. My partner and I believe I've never thought I'll experience love like this. I was married before, divorced. I've learned from that. I had relationships before. I've broke up, learned from that. I have kids in my previous marriage with the understanding. I have a woman today in my life. Sitting also, remember, yes, I'm going to put my situation at hand. I'm sitting with dire straight situation where I have terminal cancer. I'm weak a lot of my days. I can't fin and work as hard as I used to. Can't go get, although I'm still a determined hard worker, it gets hard on days. But you know where my relationship with the person that I have today, someone that I never thought I would ever date, someone I never thought that I would be with. But as a man, I needed to understand that I needed to understand as a woman. As a man, I needed to understand I needed to make this place that when we come together, a safe space. Now, as a man, I'm telling you today how to celebrate a woman if you really want a woman in your life. You need to make the place safe for her. No matter how old you are, 85, 90 years old as a man, it does not mean that woman has ever been happy. Because you need to make that place so safe safe that she's not just there because she's obsessed with what she has. She's not just there because you think of some material things. She's there because she knows when I come to you, I don't need to go to someone else. I'm coming to speak to you. When I come to you, I know you're going to understand me when I lash out on you. When I come to you, I'm going to understand that you understand the words that's coming out of my mouth and it's not meant to hurt you. My partner and I, which I've done in previous relationships, has never gone for the juggler at each other. We debate on certain things, but we understand it's our perspective of life, is how we look at life, because we are still individuals. And in the end of the day, as a man, if you really want a woman in your life, if you really want to appreciate her, understand that you need to understand human beings and understand the next party. And the most important thing is make the space safe. And if that becomes a ripple effect in men, when we make places safe, wow, you would see the most beautiful, open woman on the planet. You would see a woman not even fighting you for a workplace. You would say, because I'm telling you now, it's banks and institutions, it's the world that make women believe that it's more worth to be a career woman than be a woman at home that has power, raising a kid, bringing life into this world. I'm telling you to teach you now today, as a woman also, your value is much more than at work. But unfortunately, society has told you, and men has also believed that that has to be the way. That became the rise of feminism, because women had to believe they had to fend for themselves, work for themselves. Otherwise, they can't have that control. We as men need to let go of control and make it a safe space. So here's to the religious people that might come shoot at me. Go read your Bible or your Quran and understand that a woman does not need to love you. But you as a man need to love a woman. Go read those scriptures. I don't even need to tell you if you scripture fool or whatever you are. And this is how we need to understand life in the end of the day. We are beautiful creation. We are existence of no matter if you're 8 years or what. We are existing. And to exist, you need to suffer to have compassion. And with that suffering comes understanding. And this is how you love a woman, my friend.
And I love what you're saying. But Byron, I just want to come back just shortly to what you've said. You spoke about the Quran and the Bible. I believe if we read the Bible and the Quran correctly, we wouldn't have had this problem. Also, the church or the religious institutions should have played that role long time ago. Those conversations should have been part of the messages on a Sunday, on a Wednesday, on a Monday, where we speak about things like this, where we get the men together. Because I mean, we have a lot of men that attend church, that do attend the mosque. Why didn't we start already with this conversation at the mosque? Because if you have 30 churches and 2 mosques in the area, you can potentially reach out to so many men in that area and change the narrative, of what's currently happening. I believe the church should have played this role long time already. We should have had this conversation long time already in our communities. Going out there, having workshops. I'm talking to the brother, the 30 brothers or 60 brothers in the church, in the young men. Kijk je mannen, jullie moeten de vrouwen respect. This is how you treat a woman. This is something that the church or the religious institutions should initiated long time already. We wasn't supposed to be here where this has now become a debate on Facebook. This was supposed to be taught to us long way before Facebook. It should have been happening in the church a while back already. And I want to say it's not too late. We can still change it, but we're gonna have to have this type of conversations in the workplace, at the school. We're gonna have to have this in the church. We're gonna have to have this in the mosque. We're gonna have this when we have a brine, we have a dop and a chop. We're gonna have to talk about this. Why? Why aren't we talking about it? Haven't this become the normal language? That men do talk to one another. What, there was a man many years ago, and he's still alive, Mr. Benjamin. I just want to give some recognition to him. He's my best friend's father. And the way he treated his wife, now he was Muslim and his wife was Christian, and they got married. But there wasn't a fight in the house about religion. They raised their children, with love. They didn't care about anything else. And me as an outsider became part of that family because I saw how Mr. Benjamin treated his wife with love and respect, and how he treated all the other ladies and the people in the community and his family. And that to me was where I wanted to be because I saw that in somebody and I had so much respect for him. And that man became my role model without me even knowing that. And that is exactly how life should be. When people come to my house, they should see but understand he's a role model, not pretending on Facebook or on Instagram or even, but he should be really a role model that we could look up to, Byron. And that is where we should head towards, changing men for good.
No, I love how you put it. And you see, we on the same timeline. We on the same. We in line with what we speak. What is everybody looking for in the world, Stanley? Two things. Name two things you can think about.
Acceptance and love.
Yeah. Now, there's one big thing that I would have thrown in. The love one is part of it. Safety.
Mhm.
We're fighting for safety every day. Safety in our work, safety in our house, safety when we go out.
Mhm.
So imagine your safety being threatened each and every day.
Mhm.
We as humans, not just as men, need to make the space safe for each other.
That's
Stanley,
right.
when you come to me as a human and speak to me, you should know it is safe to speak to Byron with my
Mhm.
feelings because
Yeah.
he understands me. But yet, when someone comes to me, like Kim said, pride and ego in the end of the day,
Mhm.
and you come and
Yeah.
tell me, Byron, again, I did not like what you said now.
Mhm.
I find offense in it. Not
Yeah.
understanding that you maybe have a different way of looking at it and coming with a question, but Stanley, why didn't you not like it? So I can understand for the next time how to approach
Mhm.
a situation in front of you.
That's
We
right.
don't do that. We just go on the
Mhm.
attack mode, on our defense mode, and we say,
Mhm.
no, Stanley, just mama, that's hoe ek praat. Moenie, los het, moenie vir my sê wat om te doen nie. Don't tell me what
That's
to
right.
do. This is the way I speak, Stanley. You are wrong.
Mhm.
Don't tell me what to
That's right.
say. Instead of saying, Stanley, I'm understanding, okay, you don't like it. Now I know for next time I won't say these things in front of you. But I do
Mhm.
speak that way. So maybe if you hop onto one of my things, you might be offended
Yeah.
and stuff by what I say. Please do take an account. This is the way I live.
And you're so right, Byron. I think it also comes down to the emotional intelligence levels. Am I really
Mm.
mature enough? Was this so gauw om kwaad te raak? But to me, growing up in an environment where I was a lot with I would say big men of God, and I would always talk to them. Hulle is baie gou, hulle raak nie gou kwaad nie. They would sort out the matter. And I think that is where we should also move towards is to understand the next person story and try and understand that person. We are so easy to be sit with the next person. In fact, instead of listening, and we need to also guide our emotions because that is the thing that is actually killing us is our emotions are taking over. And because our emotions are taking over, we're not really thinking about things realistically. We are thinking about what our emotions or parents said, ek hou nie van hom nie. We need to change that as well. Grow up emotionally and become better individuals. I've when I speak to there's a guy at my work. He's got most of the stress on himself, and he works very hard. And when you speak to him, if you've got so much stress on him, he will he won't answer you. He will listen to you, and then he will give you an answer. He will first listen to you, but he will give you an answer in such a way that you feel that ek het nou vir jou 'n dom question gevra because just the way how he responds to you is like he's very mature. His answers are very mature, and I think that is where we should get to as men, giving answers based on our maturity, not on our emotional side. Okay, like my parents se krag is af. Parents se krag is
Nah,
nou
nah,
af.
I'm just connecting this thing here quickly on the side. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Ik can zoom to say. I'm just connecting this thing on that side. But I love what you say that in Michelle Ran came in. Yeah, it's about emotional maturity, and you spot on, and she's right. In the end of the day, em- emotional maturity that we as men also is we gotta say very immature.
Yeah, and
Let me
and I
just
just want to
connect
say,
this.
okay, Kim says you.
Yeah.
Where do we learn emotional maturity though? It's in the home, yes, with the only role models of what home and family look like. And there is the problem, Kim. You know, when you grow up in home, just vir die eerste 18 jaar in die huis in. And like I say, the child gets it from the mother and the father. And that's why when we do fall in love, when we do, get married, we need to also have instead of just prospering financially, we should have a plan in place and say we need to grow emotionally and we need to mature together because we're
That's
gonna
right.
raise children. You know, where I am today is not where I want to be next year. I want to be a better individual, and this would be also a long term goal where we as parents grow emotionally and mature, in our ways because a lot of things that we do, a lot of things that we do nowadays is because of, how we grew up. And we need to change that. We need to break that cycle.
Exactly. Ai en daarom kan ek my gesig hier nou wys. You know, yeah, we emotional immaturity with Eskom on the side. What Michelle said, what did she say there? She was saying something there. Oh, Kim said something on top of that. Kim said, "Where do we learn emotional maturity, though? It's in the home with role models of what home and family look like, and that's partially true." And Michelle goes on and say, and sometimes our parents don't know how to speak to each other. Most homes are dysfunctional. So yeah, that it's true. It does start from there, but also where you can also learn emotional maturity and is your environment around you, the
Mhm.
friends you have around you. We can only blame our parents for a certain part of our life,
That's right.
you see. But you get exposed to so many things in life that happens over time. You know, as dit al nou ingegaan, ons gaan nou diep in mense se gevoelings, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you need to start take accountability for your life. I'll give you the leeway until the age of 17, 18, because now you are starting to see and you have your own experiences, you get to meet people and stuff. Yes, there's maybe childhood trauma and stuff that happened to you, and some stuff you need to heal from, but you come across people in life, and this is where you start learning emotional maturity. You start learning certain things in life. Your life skills. Ek sê nou life skills. Jy sê, Michelle, we all need to go on life skill course, conscious coaching, teaching, and courses like that. Yes, you do, but the best course is living life. You get
Mhm.
all these life coaches, motivational speakers. They are speaking to you of their way of life. I've never understood a blanket motivational speaker. What I mean by that, when I speak to a group of people, they can relate to your understanding, but they can never understand how you live. What we need to understand as humans in the end of the day, Stanley, we need to understand we have our own way of happiness. We
Yeah.
have our own way of looking at happiness in life. We have our own understanding of what we want out of this life. But the biggest mistake that makes us unhappy, we look at someone else's happiness and say, that is my happiness. That is my desire. That is what I want. This is hoekom die colored community so baie baklei, because
Mhm.
they were exposed in after apartheid to new things. They were like dogs that was allowed to run in the road when they were kept in the yard the whole time and just
Mhm.
fed certain stuff. Now you
Mhm.
see this whole road full of other dogs, full of other things. Jy wil nog
Mhm.
gaan ry, jy wil gaan smile, but now you start getting jealous because you feel like it's gonna disappear because it
Mhm.
just came to you now. This is the mentality that's been carried on. So forth for women also, unfortunately. And I don't like to blanket it, and so forth for us humans. We need to understand, we need to first find out and just go for these courses. But the biggest
Mhm.
thing is, what makes Stanley happy? What
Mhm.
makes Kim happy? What makes Turlo happy? What makes Michelle happy? What makes Byron happy? Do you know what was my biggest my worst time of my life is when I did not know what makes me happy. When I thought money makes me happy, I thought if I'm gonna have a bigger car, bigger house, a wife, kids, all the things that society say should need to have a perfect family, that's gonna make me happy. No, that did not make me happy.
True.
Happiness starts in here. The
Mhm.
mentalness of your mind.
the surety of knowing that my existence has a purpose. That
Mhm.
is what happiness is about.
And I agree with you, Byron. Finding out who you are. BSJ, Byron. What do you like?
Mm,
You know, Byron, if I can go back into into the years when I grew up as a teenager, I would
mm,
have I would have enjoyed my life much more because it's just the same that many years later I only know a few years ago what I didn't like in life, what I didn't want in life. I only woke up a bit too late because there wasn't actually counseling for me, people to talk to me. And that would have made my life much more easier if I had, let's say, if I had a role model like myself many years ago, I would have been much more happier because I was looking for the things that couldn't make me happy. You know, you look for things that isn't there. But
mm,
as you grow older, you realize, but okay, this is what life is about. You know, just here, Michelle and Kim said, where do we learn about these things? Where do we learn about these things of emotional intelligence? A few years ago, so about 14 years ago, this one manager decided she's going to send me on emotional intelligence courses. Everybody else goes
mm,
on technical courses, but I go on emotional intelligence courses. And I didn't know why, but I actually want to say, okay, I was cross with her for many years because sy was so spris vir my gereeld gestuur op die courses. But many years later, I appreciate what she's done. She's changed my life by doing these
mm,
courses. And you know what, Byron? Instead of waiting for my son to be this age, I'm gonna share now with what I have experienced with him. I mean, my life with him, so that he don't have to make the same mistakes as I have
mm,
made. That he can live life to his fullest.
mm. No, you're right. Michelle says, but some of us can only discover that with assistance. I agree, Stan. No, you spot on. Some of us don't have that luxury to be exposed or to that or that intuition to be pushed into a certain environment. And you guys are spot on. Sometimes we need guidance and stuff. But again, when we seek guidance, this is what I speak to people that come to me and say, Byron, how do you stay so strong? What mental state, how do you keep your mental capacity so strong? How do you get through certain difficult times? Because we all have cross that we bear. We No one's is heavier than the other ones, you know. I went through the same thing, went on a course, and the thing is, you were knowledgeable enough to know that you should seek help. But what I'm talking about is there's people in this life that don't know that they need help, that they are so aware that this is what they need because we have not established or built the environment around us, be it in the colored community, whatever community you're in. We have not established the environment to say, hey, finishing schooling is not your happiness. Hey, being an entrepreneur is not your happiness. Do you know what makes you happy? Do you? No, because you have not explored yourself with other people. You've sat in your bubble and you said, I need to love myself first. And I'm going back to that. I need to fill my cup and pour it over. And mense gaan kwaad raak wanneer I said, you can only love yourself when you connect with other people, because other people will tell you what is wrong of you, and you need to then say, is this wrong of me? Introspect yourself, but not go and say, I'm going to cut this person out of my life because this person is holding me accountable for what I'm doing in this world. You know, you need to find yourself also through yourself, but also learning through other people who you are and then understanding them. Does that make sense of what I mean by happiness and self love?
Byron, it does, it do make sense. And we need to start. You know, we now know what we must do. So it's time to make the start. It's time to make the change. If we find ourselves as men, we will understand women. There will be less
Mm,
gender-based violence. There will be less rape. There will be less things like that. Because you know what? I drove down the road the other day and I look at this young man. Some of them don't have nothing to live life. They just hulle is net daar, you know, and they don't have anything to change their lives. You know, eens in die mond en broek wat hang en hy het 'n mes in die hand en hy wil 'n ander ou stiek. And I look at this young man. Is that really what solving, hoe jy 'n conflict solve met 'n mes in die hand of 'n gun in die hand? We need to find better ways to solve conflict. You know, as everything is about solving conflict. If you can teach a young man at a young age how to solve a conflict, you will stop gender-based violence, you will decrease it, and you will also decrease gangsterism because we will know now how to talk to each other. And I think by the end of that is where we need to be. We need to know how to address one another as men and how to address our women as well, and to respect this woman and make it a safe haven. When women must feel when they're around men, they must be safe. And that is what we need to look at.
Mm. And there's one thing I wanted to say now also. Was Byron, we need to do that. Byron, where is the Shako of the years that help the youngsters find themselves? We need to start building these hubs in our communities and teach them these. Because she's so spot on and what she's saying also. And
Mhm,
this is what I wanted to say now. Do you know who we need emotional courses for?
mhm.
Our role models.
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
role models need emotional courses because your celebrities, your whatever you want to call it, whatever people follow, be it a motivational speaker, a whatever, they are the ones that need to do the biggest introspection of
Mhm,
who they are and how to give over to someone else. Because
mhm,
today's leaders, call them as such, there is leaders, yes, they blanket their feelings out into the world and they feel that that should be everyone else's feeling with them. This is why you get people that vote for you or don't vote for you. Do you know we're in such a life that we have to choose to agree or to disagree? That should not be your individual life, but
mhm,
yet we have made life as that way. This is why we have role models like singers, rappers, presidents, leaders, whatever it is. We should not have leaders of our life. We should have leaders telling us to look within our own life to what
mhm,
makes us happy, to what makes us stronger. But leaders are so caught up of wanting to play God complex, let's put it as that, that they are so high on dopamine of that drug that people should follow them, should love them, and they addicted to it. Do you
mhm,
get what I'm saying? That's why, as myself, I classify myself as a person that tries to inspire people and speak to people. But if you ever look at my end saying, as I never lose your kindness, love every day, and put God first, why I say those things and why I always speak to you, I don't speak to a group of people. I speak to you in the sense of understanding that this message was not for you. This is my way of how I'm feeling today. So you go and find out how you feel
mhm.
in the end of the day. You can maybe look, oh wow, he puts his emotions out there. He puts his stuff out there. You need to look back and see how you are.
That's right. Worry, wat sê Turlo? Steen die wakker het sy vir Byron. Byron is hot met die mond.
Ek koi te bela uit die Cape Flats uit. Warm haar word as 'n mond warm gemaak. Appels, hoe sê hulle appels en pere maak jy hare meer toe sny ek myne af en toe gooi ek die bad.
But Byron, thank you so much, brother. Met die
Ja
lekker.
man.
But this is just a different perspective.
Mm,
We as men, we need to change. We need to also realize that we need to create. And this, the things that we speak about, the things that I
mm,
read, I do take some of these things for myself as well. It's not that I am bitter, and it's not that I know everything. And I believe that through topics like this and discussions like this, you learn every day. And we want to become better individuals. We want to become better people.
mm. Ja, laat my uit die Belwels uit het geskop te hulle. Ek het daar gebly oor 'n tydjie toe skop hulle my uit daarso. Ek laat jou maar net weet. But guys,
Yeah.
what I want to leave with Stanley, and I like leaving, whatever I do, I try to leave as a positive note, as positive as possible, in the end of the day. And what I want to say today is you have a purpose. And I say this to a lot of people. Moenie dink ek is a motivational speaker nie, although my page miskien so sê, you need to put a title on something because that's what life is like. My thing is, in the end of the day, find out wie jy is. Find out who you are, what you want. Ask yourself, what's your why in life? Don't ask yourself, what is Stanley's why? What is Byron's why? I need to follow what they're doing. It's not going to make you happy.
Yeah.
Find out,
Yeah.
wil ek sit and do I want someone in my life? Do I want to love someone? Do I want a partner? Don't I want a partner? You need to understand what makes you happy. Then
Yeah.
you're gonna grow and evolve in this life, and you're gonna still attain things in this materialistic world because we have to understand and live this world with everything that has atoms and DNA in it. You need to understand to such a conscious level that
Mhm.
this life is about existing and understanding and finding your why.
I like how you ended finding your why, finding your niche. What makes what does it for you? Because don't live for anybody else, man. Live for yourself. Live a
Exactly.
life that you can look back and say, "But I've lived my life." That is the problem. We're living to improve other men. We're living to improve other
Mm,
people, but you're not really
mm,
enjoying who you are. You're not really living the plan that you are supposed, or the vision that you're supposed to live. And we
exactly.
need to change that. We need to change that, ways of thinking as men. We need to be
Mm,
ourselves. There's a song. What is the song? No matter what they say, be yourself. I'm an
mm,
alien in New York. And that is just how it is. You need to be yourself. You can't live a life that was intended for somebody else. That is that person's life. Be
exactly.
Byron, be Stanley, be Turlo, be Kim, be Michelle. Let us be us, be Kurt, and let us just be ourselves, during this time. I mean, Byron, I've heard of many people who passed away with the COVID, and that is also just a sign that life is too short to try and be somebody else to please other
Mm,
people. So that's how I
yes.
want to end. Byron, thank you so much, my brother. Ons het baie gepraat vanaand. Ons praat
Yeah.
normally ons het baie gepraat vanaand, but thank you so much, and thank you to our listeners. I think this is a conversation. We didn't have a big crowd, but the people that spoke to us, that chatted with us, were very much into the topic. So thank you so much, everybody, and each one for being part of this conversation.
Okay, stay safe, bro. Love you much, man. Jy geniet die aanvera.
Cheers.
Cheers.